Hi everyone. Here in this lecture, I will discuss two important characters in the play She Stoops to Conquer by Oliver Goldsmith. In the previous lecture, we talked about Marlowe and Care. Here we will discuss the characters of Constance Neville and George Hastings. One of the important characters in She Stoops to Conquer is Constance Neville. Constance is a young woman who is ready for marriage, known for her kind, affectionate, and practical nature. Following the death of her father, her aunt, Mrs. Hardcastle, has taken on the role of her guardian and is determined to have Constance marry her son Tony. Despite being in love with Hastings, Constance refuses to marry without her aunt's approval because it would mean forfeiting the jewels she expects to inherit. She attempts to trick her aunt in various ways in order to escape her guardian's influence, but her efforts are unsuccessful. Constance is sophisticated and refined, qualities that make her an unsuitable match for the trickster Tony. Her name indicates an association with urban life rather than the countryside. As "ne" in French means born, and ville means town. Therefore, in the play's contrast between provincial and cosmopolitan values, Constance represents the cosmopolitan. Despite not wanting to wed Tony, Constance recognizes his positive attributes. Ultimately, she successfully secures her inheritance and becomes engaged to Hastings, fulfilling her dreams. Constance is portrayed as a strong-willed and resourceful young woman, caught in a conflict between her desires and her obligations. Her affection for Hastings reveals her romantic side, as she longs for a genuine connection rather than a match arranged by her aunt. The pressure from Mrs. Hardcastle to marry Tony, despite his unsuitability and trickster nature, plays into the theme of personal autonomy versus familial duty. Constance tricks to outsmart her aunt and gain freedom illustrates her cleverness and determination as she navigates the limitations imposed by her guardian. This tension highlights the societal expectations of women during her time, particularly concerning marriage and inheritance. Additionally, the significance of her name, suggesting urban sophistication, further emphasizes her distinction from the rural values that Tony represents. Constance's struggle between complying with her aunt's wishes and pursuing her own happiness encapsulates the challenges faced by many women in seeking love and independence within restrictive social structures. Ultimately, her character embodies the desire for both self-determination and genuine connection, making her a relatable figure in the content of romantic and social constraints. Now we come to discuss the character of George Hastings. Hastings is Marlowe's closest companion and is also pursuing Constance. He is described as stylish, well-educated, and kind-hearted. Unlike Marlowe, he is comfortable in social settings and doesn't place too much importance on fashion. Hastings wants to help Marlowe gain confidence to form a genuine relationship with a woman he admires. He is a romantic at heart, willing to give up Constance's wealth in order to marry her immediately. Hastings is eager to elope with Constance and seeks Tory's help to deceive Mrs. Hardcastle. The name Hastings implies his desire to marry Constance quickly, without waiting for her inheritance to be secured. Hastings serves as a foil to Marlowe, contrasting Marlowe's shyness and awkwardness in social situations with his own ease and charm. While they both harbor feelings for Constance, Hastings embraces a more direct and romantic approach, demonstrating his genuine commitment to her by valuing love over material wealth. His willingness to elope with Constance highlights his romantic ideals and determination to pursue happiness without the constraints of societal expectations, especially the financial inheritance that often governs marriage prospects of that time. Moreover, Hastings' desire to help Marlowe gain confidence shows his loyalty and friendship, emphasizing the themes of companionship and support that are central to the narrative. In seeking Tony's assistance to deceive Mrs. Hardcastle, Hastings also showcases an element of cleverness and resourcefulness, underscoring a playful engagement with the social norms and familial pressures that surround their relationships. Overall, Hastings embodies the traits of a true romantic hero, both in his affections and his actions. Here we reach the end of our lecture today, as we have discussed the characters of the both main characters, Hastings and Miss Neville. Thank you for listening and see you next lecture.